Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hey guys, as you know, every Wednesday I run a Hump Day giveaway over on my Twitter page at Brodes81. At the top of my profile, there is a pinned tweet. This week, we're giving away a beautiful Phillies book bag. It is magnificent, so make sure you do that. Also, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. We break down all Phillies games, Sixers, Flyers, Eagles, you name it, Philadelphia sports content all day long. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. And also comment down below your thoughts. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. I will never see good baseball again. I swear to God, I'm never going to see good baseball again. The Phillies lose in heartbreaking fashion. Honestly, David Hale throwing a wild pitch to lose the game in extra innings. Why is it always the most absurd situations ever? This team is a very dumb, stupid baseball team. That's reality of the situation. Matt Joyce trying to tag up with JT Realmuto at the plate in extra innings. What are you thinking? What is going through your head? Roman Quinn getting picked off early in the game. Stop trying to steal every time. Every time. There is calculated risks involved in sports. You're just running every time. You're forcing the issue here. We know the only thing that you have is your legs. That's it. You can't field. You can't hit. The only thing you have is your legs. And you can't even base run. So if you can't do all three of those things, please tell me what is useful out of the Roman Quinn package. I know it was a tough play to make for sure, 100%. It's a tough play to go up out in right field and catch that baseball. When the pitch was thrown to Matt Carpenter 0-1, it shouldn't have even been thrown because the pitch was a poor pitch selection. It shouldn't have even happened because Joe Girardi should not have intentionally walked Sosa. So all of that is very true. Those circumstances were applied, and in that moment, Roman Quinn had the baseball in his glove. It's literally in his glove, and he drops it over the fence. Drops it. I can't even drop it. I'm trying to. I can't even drop it. That's what he did, right over the damn fence. Now, if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, you might have no idea what I'm talking about. I had baseball in my hands. It was the first time. I went to the park the other day, local park, walked around, fresh air. I saw a baseball in the baseball field. I went to grab it. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a catch. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a two-seamer in my grips, a little 12-6. Here I am playing with the dog in the backyard, throwing sliders. All right, enough of that. Getting back to the game, though, where my frustration lies, Roman Quinn, dude. That catch has to be made. It really does. So that was a problem. Odubel Herrera in the fifth inning prior to that, not diving, not selling out, and he looks horrible at the plate. He did have one rip that got caught. You couldn't really tell because the broadcast was a little wonky, and they didn't show the full line drive to second base, but it looked like he squared up the baseball pretty decently. Here's my thing, though, Odubel. You know the circumstances, right? You understand where you're at. You got to make the most of this, and you got to be way splashier. He's looking full. He's watching pitches go right down the middle of the pipe. And realistically, maybe we should have been more aware of him not playing baseball in so damn long. Spring training is what it is, and you can hit home runs all you want in spring training and square up the ball nicely. When you get thrown into action here, it's a different beast, and it seems pretty clear that he's mentally lost at the plate. He's watching pitches go right by him that he should be able to drive. I remember Kruk and McCarthy somewhat joking around. Oh, what do you think he's thinking here? It was a meatball down the dick, and he goes, oh, well, it clearly wasn't a fastball. Yeah, dude, what? What? That thing was right in the middle. That's something you got to put a nice, smooth stroke together and put it into the outfield and get your first hit. But Odubel Herrera looks horrendous, and that play was poor. I also think the tag was bad as well. They probably could have got the out at second base. Crazy. This team is all over the map. So let's get to Joe Girardi's decision. I didn't love it. When Aaron Nola's on the mound, you need to understand that he should be able to maneuver around an eighth hole hitter. And knowing Sosa's very aggressive. You saw it throughout the entire game. If you're going to nibble around the plate because maybe you wanted to get to Kim's spot in the lineup because you knew they were going to pinch hit for him and they wanted to get him out of the game, that's not a flawed logic. Get their starting pitcher out of the game, get to their bullpen, and maybe you'll be able to produce some runs. And it wasn't wrong because Bohm, Andrew McCutchen, two guys that really needed to get going, they both had 2 hits, and they did attack the bullpen, and they did score with the bullpen being in. So the theory of what they were thinking prior to the plays that happened that allowed Matt Carpenter to hit a 3-1 bomb, it was a 3-run bomb to make it a 3-1 lead. They weren't necessarily wrong with the approach. I didn't like it, though, just because it's Aaron Nola. It's your number one guy. Go out and attack. He can go get Sosa. And worst case scenario, if that isn't the case, all right, he gets on board, and then you can attack that Matt Carpenter matchup, which statistically, once again, I don't have a problem with the thought process. I don't know if I would have went down that road. It's not the worst thought process ever in the history of the universe. Joe Girardi came out afterwards and pretty much said, this is on me. I lost this game for the team, and I don't think it was the strongest decision in the world. I also don't think the logic behind it was completely flawed either. Matt Carpenter's numbers statistically against Aaron Nola, he hasn't been able to figure him out in quite some time. Unfortunately, this was the time that it happened, and it was a very crucial part of a game-changing moment. But I don't hate the philosophy of it. I just think I would have allowed your starter, your number one guy, to go after Sosa as well and kind of see where it lies from there. So not my favorite out of him. The lineup was very weak, though, in this game, and you kind of knew that you were going to have to really scratch and crawl for any sort of runs. They took an early lead, though. JT Realmuto knocks in Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm, the first hit of the game, it was somewhat fair, somewhat foul. I don't even know what to say about it because when I saw the replay in slow motion from the third angle baseline side, could it have maybe have been in foul territory? Maybe. He gets on base, and JT Realmuto ends up knocking him in. They take a 1-0 lead. And throughout the first couple innings, it felt like the Phillies had some base runners, and they had a lot of traffic in there. And it just felt, man, they should be up more than 1-0. It felt like more than a 1-0 lead. And every time you feel that way in your gut, you know eventually something is going to happen. There's going to be a moment in the game where, oh, there you go, you let it slip. Or, hey, you could have had maybe another run early on and you didn't. Oh, you weren't able to. Knock in that extra run to give you a little bit more of a cushion, if you will. And you know every time you feel that way, when you look up at the inning and go, oh, well, it's only 1-0 still, huh? Well, most of the time when that happens, it is going to be crazy. So, yeah, that lineup was bad. McCutchen and Bohm, as I mentioned, they both got going, which was nice. But when you see Odubel, Kingery, and Quinn and the pitching spot in your lineup, that's a really bad 4. And I know that Scott Kingery got a little blooper, and that might be good for his morale personally. Stop it. Scott Kingery still stinks. I'm watching him make poor plays defensively, too. Come on, Scott. Like, this is what bothers me, right? Odubel Herrera knows that it took 4 people failing for you to possibly get out there on the field. Can you please do something? Can you please make a name for yourself? Can you please make some noise where we look at you? Hey, Odubel wants it. Mickey Moniak didn't want it. Adam Aisley didn't want it. Although that's unfair because of the personal reasons. That's unfair. I take that back. But guys did not want it. Do something where we at least nod our head and recognize and we can acknowledge Odubel's here to play. Odubel's got a fire lit under his ass. Instead, he's not doing that. Scott Kingery's making mistakes on the field. Play like Nick Maton. Play like the dude who gets 2 hits. He was very important to that run later on in the game with Alec Bohm, with Andrew McCutchen, with Nick Maton. He was on second base for that to actually happen. Play like Nick Maton. Play like your hair is on fire. Instead of, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm very indecisive. Should I dive? Should I not dive? Why do I look a little shaky? Why am I not swinging the bat? Come on! Be aggressive! Try and make a spark. It's ridiculous. It really is. The way that this team loses, it's painful. Everyone in the bullpen did well, except for David Hale. You were very limited in options, though. You definitely were. As this game started to grind into some extra innings, although it was only one extra inning, but you could see where it was going, the trajectory of it. You knew that you would be in a pickle. That's for damn sure. JoJo Romero, solid. Connor Brogdon, another good outing after that blow up. I hate seeing his ERA, and I hate seeing his stats because I think it doesn't tell the true story on where he is right now in his career. He makes a one-handed play. Nick Maton, by the way, great defense. He makes his play with the glove, and he taps the glove on second base and still throws it over to first base to Rhys Hoskins. And I know I ripped this team apart for some pretty boneheaded decisions. If I'm going to look at the very, very minor optimism here, Nick Maton defensively nice. I saw Alec Bohm charge a ball very well. Got it out of his hands quickly. Nice throw over to Rhys Hoskins. That's something he has been looking better at. He looks more comfortable in that area. And I actually saw Rhys Hoskins make a pick play. Brad Miller, a little bit of some weirdness involved. He's rolling to his right, so it's a weird throw back over to first base after he bobbled the ball. But Rhys Hoskins with a really nice scoop. This is just throughout the game in general. There's your minor optimism on some defensive plays. I'll rip apart 6 or 7 miserable ones, though, which I already did, which doesn't really counterbalance. I'm trying to look at both sides here, though. Give me the pros. Give me the cons. That's why I'm here. Connor Brogdon, though, one-handed play, doesn't even need the glove. The good old I don't need my glove trick. Just love to see, though, the confidence of Connor Brogdon since that outing where he had 2 3-run bombs in the mix. He had one outing after that, and since then, looking to be a little bit stronger out there and looking to be a little bit more confident in his stuff. A high 90 fastball getting Sosa, bringing up Sosa constantly because you know that he's willing to swing the baseball bat and take chances. You got him with a gun upstairs, 96. Good to see out of Connor Brogdon. It just sucks. With Hector Neris, he came in. I was just going to say it sucks when you witness David Hale come in and you don't have any confidence in the world. Hector Neris, good 9th inning, and look, he went after Nolan Arenado. There's no doubt in anyone's mind that he did that on purpose. Situational, knew the circumstances, and I was pretty clear how I felt after the game yesterday. I care about winning games, right? So instead of focusing on who I'm going to hit, when I'm going to hit him, how hard am I going to hit Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, go out there and win a fucking baseball game. And they didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't, but they hit Nolan Arenado, so we should all be proud, right? Here's the thing. In terms of baseball purists, baseball traditionalism, that was the right spot. Right then and there, drill him. Nolan Arenado takes it. You don't see the St. Louis Cardinals again. You move on. Their manager could do whatever they want. I don't blame him for getting all pissed off, sticking up for the teammates. It was all for show. It wasn't real. It was all fake. He tried to pretend like he was mad, maybe because there were no warnings set. That's the way that you handle it. All business out of the umpires. You move on. You take care of business. Tip your cap. I'll hit you, guy, for what you did for Bryce. All right, let's move on. Neris does the job fine. I could get behind that. I didn't want to see something gross happen, and I didn't think it would have happened with Nola on the mound anyway. It would have been more when the bullpen was in place. Who was it going to be? If you got Coonrod, if you heard some of Coonrod's words after yesterday's postgame, he left it open for interpretation. He left it open with a big smile on his face, kind of like, hey, if it gets there, it gets there. Just picture that in my head. Coonrod would have went nuts. I guess my point is, if there was a way to do it that would satisfy me, that was the way to do it. Not some ugly business where you're throwing an insane high fastball to Nolan Arenado's chin, right? Like, I don't want to see that. Speaking of Nolan Arenado, when Nola was in the game, though, got him with a nasty breaking pitch down low, and then he also put together a really nice high, got Nolan Arenado somewhat a little hesitant to pull the trigger, does a check swing, rings him up. He also got Goldie on a fantastic breaking pitch as well earlier in the game. When you do look at Nola, though, he struggled to command that fastball, and it was a lot of some secondary pitches, a lot of off-speed pitches, and I think that, it goes back to the Goldschmidt thing. Knowing that Nola did not have it, it's a lot easier for hitters to then think about, all right, this is where he's going to go. I know he doesn't have his fastball, so maybe I can sit back on some off-speed pitches. I wish, look, Nola gave you 6 innings and 7 Ks. I'm not here to criticize Nola. It's a fine performance for sure. You just saw him struggle with the fastball, and I think one of the reasons why you saw that Carpenter swing is because he started to become maybe a little bit recognizable with what was being thrown based off of him not being able to be fully dialed in with your best pitch. And if you struggle to command a fastball in a baseball game, it's going to be really hard to pitch around things. It's possible. It's not impossible. It's a lot more difficult, though, for sure. I mean, you see it all around. You see it with plenty of guys, unless your name's Jacob deGrom. But does Jacob deGrom struggle to do anything on this planet? I don't think so. I think he could do anything in the damn world. You saw JT Realmuto very disappointed after the game. He actually took his helmet and threw it as hard as he possibly could against the dugout, and it bounced back, hit a couple steps. I think there's a few reasons why he was upset. He probably looked at himself and thought that he could make that play. David Hale throws a pitch in the dirt, and here comes the analytical world. This is why you're not on one knee. You got to be able to do a better job there. It's JT freaking Realmuto here, all right? Like, if there's anyone that I trust in that situation, did he make a bad play? Maybe it wasn't his smoothest play, but it's JT Realmuto. He also had a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, on a breaking pitch from Nola. Gets up perfectly, gets the ball. Gone, perfect. Right on the money down the second base. My point is, defensively, I don't need to question JT Realmuto, all right? The one knee thing, the non-one knee thing, analytics tell you this, you can block this, you can't block that. It's JT Realmuto. I can look at JT after the game and trust any decision he makes on a specific ball to try and make a play. His pros completely outweigh all the cons when it comes to what he does defensively, when it comes to his body posture behind the dish. But the fact that he holds himself to a high standard there, yeah, I'm sure he's very upset with himself. He said that when I call a play, or I call a pitch, I should say, and he's throwing in the dirt, my pitcher is trusting me to block that ball with the guy on third base when it's thrown in the dirt. So I need to be better there. He threw his helmet. But I also think some of this is he's up to bat. He's up to bat in the 10th inning, and a stupid journeyman decision. First off, who are you? Okay? You think you got speed? You think you got wheels? You think you have the ability to make it from second to third? Like, who are you, Matt Joyce, to think that you're going to outrun somebody to make that play at third base? You're in scoring position with JT Realmuto. This is stuff that little leaguers, if I can say it right, I'm saying it like a little leaguer. If JT Realmuto's up to bat and you're on second base in extra innings, you stay there. You stay there. You can get knocked in. It's crazy how many times I've mentioned that this team doesn't think the game. You have to think the game. You need to know where you're going with the baseball before it comes to you. We saw that with Jose Alvarado, that one game where there was a man on third, and I think it was against the Braves, right? On the road against the Braves, if I remember correctly. I don't think it was a home game. I think it was on the road, and he tried to turn two. Instead, there was a run that was scored. It was just abysmal baseball because you didn't know where you were going with the baseball prior. Didi Gregorius was a little bit up. It was just a nightmare, and you get that way too many times with this team. So I think there's a lot of different reasons why JT is upset. And also, there was some hostility involved in this game. You go out and win 3 out of 4 games after winning today's game, after what happened with Bryce Harper. There's a little different swag involved, and you can kind of look at the other team, look at the other side, look at your team as a whole, and all right, fellas, all right, we answered the bell. You know, because you set yourself for such a terrible spot on the road prior to this series, a 2-2 split does not do it for me. It is not good enough. It does not sit well with me. You can maybe look at it minorly in a very small vacuum and think that it's okay. When you put yourself in this position to begin with, it's not okay. Aaron Nola's on the mound. Aaron Nola is on the mound. And shooting yourself in the foot. Here's what's crazy. Your lineup stunk. Your lineup was clearly not your greatest lineup in the world, and you were losing a lot of power and a lot of players that you need. Didi Gregorius, Gene Segura, Bryce Harper. That matters. That's an issue when they are not available for you, right? And you still shot yourself in the foot, and it was still 3-3 in extras. It's a winnable baseball game, and that's what eats me alive the most. I'll tell you something that I love, though, and that's DraftKings Sportsbook. For some, the NFL Draft is the most exciting day of the season. For others, it's a chance to build on last year's success. Whether your team has the first pick or the last, DraftKings is bringing you the excitement to you. DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports, is adding to the thrill by offering a free-to-enter draft pool this Thursday with $50,000 up for grabs. DraftKings free-to-play pools are easy to play. Just download the DraftKings app, go to pools, and choose from a wide variety of free contest for an opportunity to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code Brodes to enter the free draft pool with $50,000 in prizes up for grabs. That's promo code Brodes to get a free shot at $50,000 in total prizes. Only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Now you got to play the Mets. The thing is, you're on your home field. You're at Citizens Bank Park. You're going up against Stroman, though. At least what I see at this moment is Chase Anderson versus Stroman. But doesn't it seem like Chase Anderson just pitched, unless I'm missing something. But no, I guess we are that quickly here. The season does move rather quickly. There's a lot of drama surrounding not just the Mets and their offense and Francisco Lindor getting booed and his offense. He's getting booed by his own fans because of how poorly he's playing at the plate. You know, we're very annoyed with the production at the dish with this Phillies lineup. It's all around baseball. The numbers are very strange and very awful and very bizarre right now for the entire league hitting-wise. I'm just saying that just to put it in perspective. I'm sure that won't satisfy most. It doesn't satisfy me much more. I'm just letting everybody know that there is an issue all around baseball with hitting right now. So it's all of the numbers for sure. I want to see if there's anything that I missed that I wanted to get to when it comes to this team with my notes. But no, not really. Heartbreaking loss. And that's about it. All right, why don't we hit the Anytime hotline to hear the phone calls? Here's your reactions after the game. And now, here we go.
All that for nothing. That was pain. Thank God we could still be in first place if the Cubs can beat the Braves tonight. Hopefully. We got to put this aside and focus on the Mets coming in. We could have sole possession in first place all by ourselves. Absolute stupidity in the extra innings today. Got to put it aside and focus on the next one. I'm out.
Oh, okay, so you're going quick here. You're going quick with the mentality of it was disturbing, it was disgraceful, it bothers you. You went 2-2 against the Cardinals. Look at where the division is. The division is definitely whacked in terms of what we thought it was going to be, although it does seem like the Braves are starting to put things together a little bit more, and they did have so many damn injuries early on. It seems like maybe they're adjusting and whatnot and things of that nature. But, when you look at the product of the NL East and what you're getting, just put it behind you. You split the series in St. Louis. In a vacuum, you'll take it. You're upset with what you saw. You thought that there were a lot of tough decisions mentally made by this team from your manager all the way through your players on the field, which matters more, may I add. Let's just go take care of business against a division opponent. All right. I mean, look, I'm going to do that anyway. No doubt about it. I don't know if right after the game I can feel that way. Here's my problem with some of these losses. They're so damn emotional. They're so damn awkward. It's not, all right, you lost 5-1. Let's move on to the next one. It's not you got obliterated. It's not these losses where it was just like written in the stones by the seventh inning. It's bizarre. It's Bryce Harper gets hit with a 97-mile-per-hour clock into the jaw. It's Didi getting pounded into the back. It's David Hale throwing a wild pitch. It's shooting yourself in the foot. It's all these crazy things that keep happening. It's not as simple as this team just lost the baseball game. Now, when was the last time there wasn't controversy involved or something so crazy that after the game there's a huge talking point? It's different. They just lost the game. Well, this just happened. It was just one simple thing of your starting pitcher didn't have it, and you got shelled in the first 3 innings, and you can never catch back up. You can never dig yourself out of that hole. Like maybe once in a blue moon that happens, but majority of the time it's, what? What? I'm mind blown. How do I comprehend the information? How do I digest that 9th inning, that 8th inning, that 7th inning? What is going on? What the hell am I witnessing? That's always the question after the game, more so than it's this team is losing baseball games. And that's why it's so hard to comprehend emotionally, right?
Okay, I'm not saying anybody could have made that catch and that 2-run homer or 3, whichever it was. I'm not saying I could go out there and jump up and make that catch. It's not an easy play. It's certainly doable, but it's not easy. But when you have been having a season like Roman Quinn has been having, even a day earlier in the game when he grounded Kingery out and then he got caught stealing, you need to make that play. You have to make that play. Think about what it does for the whole team. That's a big confidence boost to him, center field and just the whole team in general. That gives you a lot of momentum. Who knows? That could have sparked something with center fielders. Or just in general, you saw Nola's reaction when he thought that Quinn caught it.
Yeah, I did. I did see that reaction. It was that burst of excitement and then, ooh, I'm not satisfied. Ooh, I'm crushed. You could see it in slow motion play out. That's a great point, though, that could have changed the game. And quite frankly, you look at that as like a really good chance, too. Not maybe, not, well, possibly. No, it does legitimately seem like a game-changing play. Because right now, when you look at the game, it's, well, that 3-run shot was definitely where the Cardinals were able to explode. Where Roman Quinn is at right now is the lowest of the low. Right? I mean, the guy can't hit to save his life. Don't tell me one hit today is changing your overall thoughts on where Roman Quinn is. He's a flat-out disaster, and that's inevitable. There's no changing my mind. You already screwed up once in this game. You can pull together such a crazy, epic catch like that, and you have it in your grasps, and he flips over when he falls, and he pouts, and he can't believe it, and he's just very emotional himself on 2 knees afterwards facing the wall. Dude, pick your head out of your ass. That was it. That was the moment. What did Eminem say? Eminem said something. You get one shot, one opportunity. Are you going to capture it or let it slip? And our friend Roman Quinn, I mean, he's had that opportunity. I mean, you could say the same thing about Vince Velasquez and his 100-plus starts. You could say the same thing about Roman Quinn continuing to get plugged in the lineup. So he'll probably get another chance, right? So let's not be too foolish here. Maybe that quote doesn't stand true. There was another quote about Mom Spaghetti. I don't know how that really applies to this whatsoever. Dude, you could have helped win a game for this team. 1-0. And keeping Aaron Nola in a totally different spot and saving Joe Girardi. You could have changed the narrative on Joe Girardi, on Aaron Nola, and on this team. Bryce Harper getting hit in the face. We thought that maybe that was something that rallied this team together. There's a big difference in winning that game and Roman Quinn coming up big with that catch, and now you got a couple wins in a row. Now you lost again. Win-loss. I'm not saying that changes your entire season. Could have changed the next 5, 6, 7, 8 games, though. Could have put you on a nice 10-game stretch of 8-2 instead of now, all right, now we don't feel very good about ourselves again. And that was a very catchable play. It was in his glove. Tough play, sure. But he put himself in that tough play to have the ball in his grasps. That has to be made. There's no doubt about it. There's no debate at all. That play by Roman Quinn is a catchable ball, and with where he was, if you look at the percentage of plays made, you know how I'm specifically thinking about Daniel Jones going on that run, and it was like the win probability that ESPN puts up during an NFL game. Well, the Eagles have a win probability of this to come back or to stay put and win. Or even if you're down, the probability to win is this for the opposing team. That means your comeback percentage is this. If you look at that with that catch, when it's in his hand and he's touching the wall with full momentum, there's probably a catch probability of 99.9%. And he wasn't able to seal the deal. That's an issue for sure.
Let's not get so upset with Joyce for that error or so upset just about this loss in general. Because without Harp and Didi on that lineup card, that was a fucking grotesque sight to see Kingery 6 and everybody else below him. I mean, it was pretty much hopeless when you look at that card coming into this one. But how about some positives with Kutch and Bohm stepping up for the first time in a while? How about the bullpen pitching scoreless innings all series long? I have a strong feeling now that with no DeGrom this weekend and we're at home, I think we could do some damage to these scuffling Mets.
I hope so. I hope he could do some serious damage against this Nets team. Too positive for me, though, with all due respect. And look, you can feel the way that you want to. The Anytime Hotline is to hear your specific individual natural reaction. So, by all means, if that's the way that you feel, you can have at it. It's a little too positive for me, though. You are right, though. You hit right on the money. So, entering the game, and this is courtesy of Bob Wankel of Crossing Broad, Quinn, Herrera, Kingery, all in there today, plus Aaron Nola at the dish. Heading into the game, Quinn was 2 for 32. Kingery was 0 for 3. Odubel was 0 for 8. Nola was 1 for 10. That's 4 lineup spots hitting a combined 0.57 this season. Now, ultimately, Kingery got a hit. Quinn got a hit. But still, I mean, if you have eyeballs and you know the game of baseball, there's still nothing changing the fact that those guys can't play and they are a serious problem. So I guess that's what makes this hurt even more. Instead of looking at it as you were going to be doomed anyway prior to the game even starting, I look at it as you could have stole a game. You could have won a game with that being the case. You were sitting there in such a bad spot before the game even began, and you're telling me that somehow, some way, the reason why you lost this game was because of all of the decisions you made internally that costed yourself this? Like, you could have won that game. You could have won with the trash in front of you, and that hurts more to me. That hurts more to me because then when you do get guys back, it's a totally different feel. Oh, yeah, remember that game we stole? Now we're smooth sailing with our better guys. I didn't see Didi. You saw a lot of Bryce Harper, which makes me feel that he'll be all right to go. I'm sure maybe against the New York Mets. I guess I wouldn't be insanely shocked if they give him more than just one day, but I do think you're going to see him sooner rather than later. Remember when he had those back problems and he took that one day off and then that started that hot streak that he's been on? I think some of that also played a role. Bryce pretty much admitted, I'm 27 now. I'm older now. Is he 28 or 27? I forget. But he's older now. He's not 22 anymore. Playing every single night. Maybe there's something to taking those off days. Maybe he sees this as just a standard natural spot of taking that break. Don't force it. No reason to go. And I'm going to be more accustomed to taking a few days off here and there. This is my time for that. Maybe that's more of what we saw out of Bryce Harper today. And, of course, precautionary measures, absolutely, when you have that type of 97 play around with your face. I mean, it's clear that that's obvious as well, right? All right, let's take another one here.
I was just calling in top of the sixth or bottom of the sixth right now. Just wondering how in the hell do we have Scott Kingery batting sixth today, followed by Roman Quinn batting seventh? I had my Dunkin' coffee earlier, and I'm having trouble keeping it down after seeing that shit. Just wanted to voice my disgust.
And you're allowed to do that, my friend. That's the beauty of the Anytime Hotline. You can call in during the game as well. Sometimes I like that. It's the second inning. How are you feeling in the second? It's the sixth inning. How are you feeling in the sixth? How do we get here? Well, we got here because guys aren't available to play, right? With Bryce Harper out, with Didi out, with Gene Segura out, you don't have anyone available. So Scott Kingery playing, I don't know what else you would want to do, right? Nick Maton's already in there. That's a guy that you just thrown in there because it was a messy spot, and he ended up making somewhat of a name for himself, and the dude hits. The dude actually rakes. It's not that he just hits. My man rakes, and he's a fucking phenomenal defender as well, which is just pure beauty. I love watching the kid play. I've stressed this enough. I think he should actually be the center fielder at this point when Gene Segura returns. Even though I'm not expecting the most dominant defensive efforts ever, you're not getting that either from anybody else. And the fact that you can at least ply his hitting to that side of the plate, at least you're going to get some sort of positive if you're going to relate it to the abysmal play that we've been getting out there in center field. This is what happens. Roman Quinn, Scott King, and for anyone blaming Dave Dombrowski, I think you got to let the guy work, right? I mean, to expect, we all know how bad it was with the Matt Klentak era. We know where he left this franchise. We know it wasn't smooth. There's a reason why he's answering the phones and selling corn dogs, and there's nothing wrong with being a concession stand person, may I add. I think they work their asses off, and they work hard, and there's definitely that's a very important job for damn sure. So I'm not trying to make a knock there. I'm just looking at Matt Klentak and what he once was and where they try and hide him at. I'm more just making a joke, all right, about Matt Klentak. So I'm not trying to take shots at anyone who works their asses off in concession stands. Dave Dombrowski cannot fix those flaws and those issues within one season, within one offseason. I'm sure many, many moves are going to be made after this. Yes, yes, yes. Also, though, yeah, I mean, you got to give him time to work with as well. You know, you knew that there were going to be struggles at center field. Did they do enough to give themselves support? Probably not. It's also not very easy to do that with the snap of your fingers as well. I guess I'm giving Dave Dombrowski the professional, you're a baseball guy type of free pass for a season before we see. Now it's like, all right, there's no playing around. All right, you can't come back with poor center field play. You can't come back with Matt Moore and Chase Anderson type one-year deals again with terrible pitchers at the back end of your rotation. You can't come back with those type of issues now that you've seen that. So that's where I guess I'm going to make the adjustment on where I stand with Dave Dombrowski after that. I want to thank everybody for hanging out, of course. You know, it's always fun freaking out about this damn Phillies team. Only 137 to go. There's your positive as well. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.